Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Green Factor, a show where we talk about green design and the business of sustainability. I'm your host, Haris, the Green Carpenter, and today we'll be talking about data and sustainability. With me today, we have Rusnajaa. She, I know her for quite some time. We were in the same uh, workshop before. And hi, Najah.
Hi Haris, hi guys.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, Naja's history is quite interesting, but recently she looks into big data and trying to see more on how data can help businesses as well. So I've invited her to share her findings, and we hope to learn more on this kind of thing with you, Naja.
Uh, Thanks.
So
I'm looking
yeah.
forward to share. Yeah.
So before we go into the topic, I would like to ask, for the benefits of our viewers and listeners, on a little bit about your journey and how you get into data.
Sure. Okay. I usually start my story with where I graduated from. I graduated from UIA with a bachelor's degree in mechatronics. Some of you might know that as robotics. But I wasn't really interested in furthering pursuing that part. But however, what I did find interesting was the analytics, the data part, finding out how things work. So with that in mind, I sort of jumped ship. After I graduated, I went into publishing. Yeah, I know it's a very big leap, very big difference. But what I learned from publishing was the content management and how they manage and keep track of the content that they wanted to publish, whether it's on print or online, digitally. And after that, I worked with a government linked company where they facilitate the Malaysian book publishing industry. And it started from there that I wanted to do some research on the local publishing industry, that I ran into like a very huge snag where there's not a lot of data or research available. Some universities did do some research, but they mostly focused on Malaysian reading habits, but not the industry itself, as in like uh, what kind of books are being sold in the local market, what has been imported, what has Malaysia contributed to the world. Um, you can find articles here and there, the contributions of our local talent, but none of that was reflected uh, in in a sort of a formal book format. Mm, so that was then. My CEO back then he had this vision where he wanted to become the hub for Malaysian content to be exported overseas. Um, and that really sort of went well. However, it still wasn't a data driven kind of initiative. So I started reading a lot about big data, how data was used in the past and in the present in order to get insights and improve, things. According to history, data has improved policies, improved, like how people lived. Um, yeah, so that's how I got started getting interested in data, how it's used and implemented in the real world, not just for industry, but also, policies, public health, and whatnot. In marketing as well, data is very important. So yeah, that's during the pandemic, I stopped working and I pursued a professional certification in data science in order to, how to say, not just to gain more knowledge on
To
the
like
data, yeah,
seriously go
yeah,
into
to
the
seriously pursue that line of thought.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think what you say kind of is the same for us as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a lot of data. One, there's a lot of data that we want,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't have.
Yeah.
And if there is data, it's all over the place, so there's no consolidation. We can't really make use of the data itself.
Yes.
So that's
And
why,
yeah. And on my experience, if we wanted to collaborate with industries to get the data, we tried so many ways in order to help get them to cooperate. Like we signed a non-disclose agreement. We tell them, okay, we won't reveal names and such in order to reveal industry secrets and whatnot. But uh, they it's very difficult to get them to share and cooperate. So
they're
yeah,
quite
so
reluctant
that's
like,
the
to share.
biggest challenge, I think, in not just in a lot of industries in general, but when you compare what Malaysia doesn't put out and what other countries doesn't put out, especially Western countries, free databases for people to use freely to do their own research and whatnot. That is very lacking in Malaysia. Yeah.
So yes, one, availability to get data. Second
Mhm.
is the company itself. If we talk about businesses, we have generated a lot of data internally as well. So
Yes.
that is why like we have a bunch of data, and we cannot really see everything because it's not being put in a concise or in a way like
Yes.
what like
Very.
your hashtag, like data storytelling. We don't have that. So my first question would be like, why is data storytelling or data becoming more and more important right now?
Okay. Data. When you just say data by itself, if you don't try to make use of it, if you don't try to gain something from it, then it's not useful at all. It'll just be a piece of information that just lying there waiting to be used, because some people might think, oh, that piece of information is useless. But to the right person who has a vision, who wants to gain proper insight, that thing is very valuable. So that insight can help make proper decisions, life or death decisions, especially for the medical field, or maybe something that can make or break a certain business. So that's why when analysts look at data, they don't just look at one aspect. They try to, certain inputs, they try to see, oh, maybe this relates to this or this relates to that. The correlation and causation, uh, how does it impact one thing to another? And not just the outcome. For businesses, the outcome might be ringgits and cents, but maybe for the analyst, they will look at, oh, how will this impact operations? How will this impact your your consumption or how much wastage is there.
How can
So
you predict your production and those kind of thing, right?
yes, yes, and maybe there was something that you missed in yeah, usually businesses in Malaysia, there's certain cycles uh, that happens maybe during certain periods of time. There's festivities, so that's for the busy season. During the end of the year, maybe that's a lot of holidays, so that's a lot of lax, very relaxed period. So at that time, maybe you're not going to use as much resources, so you might as well not spend a lot of money in your operations, but you might want to put more money in promotion, for example. So those are the kind of insights that analysts look at, especially when they're working with businesses.
Hmm. So it's more of having the data being able to be used by different people with
Yes,
different requirement, and
yes,
at the same time help with decision making
yes,
in a way, right?
yes.
So
That's the important part, the decision making. If
hmm,
you can have an insight of what might happen in the future based on the information from the past, then you will be smarter in allocating your limited resources in order to grow your business.
yeah, so we have Terry C. Thanks, Terry, for tuning in. He said, "My Sejahtera data." So
Uh,
yeah, a lot of
mhm,
companies also are becoming more data centric, and data has
mhm.
becoming their main. So a lot of companies, like the big tech companies, are becoming data companies because data is very
Yes.
important and they can monetize that. So Anita Adnan also said, ask a question: is there any tool to predict users' behavior? So can you answer that?
Yes. There are certain tools and algorithms, especially when you study machine learning. There are certain ways on how you predict the outcomes of behaviors of customers. For example, I think I shared a post about bank datas that was used by banks, and I sort of made a chart on how that how that chart can be divided into parts, and you can segmentize the customers based on their credit, how much balance they have in the bank, and the credit limits they have. So maybe you might want to check my post, but in a gist, if you segmentize those customers, you can find out, oh, for this kind of customer, they behave, their credit, their spending pattern looks like this. So perhaps they're spending money, their credit cards for certain items. So that's where you can understand your customers' behavior and maybe help, make decisions for future promotion for those kind of customers. For high-end customer, different kind of promotional material. For the lower-end customers, maybe you need to, do promote something else that's more within their budget. Or maybe you can, help encourage certain behaviors. Oh, you need to save certain money for a period of time in order to buy this, for example.
Hmm. I think since we are in the tool
Yes.
question, one of the question is also in terms of what are the tools. Um, so I think one is about the data gathering, and then
Yes.
we do the data analytics. So I
Mhm.
think in terms of data gathering, there's a lot of ways for us to use Excel apa semua. But then,
Yes.
what is in term? I think some of the tools you can use for the analytics part.
Okay. Because I am more of a programmer. Every data set is different. So the analyst has to look at the data and have to do analytics in order to determine what kind of mathematical model or programming model to use for those data sets. We have to see the certain behaviors of data in order for us to recommend certain solutions. There's no one size fit all for everything. However, the one thing they all have in common is the visualization part, where we gather the data, we clean it up, and we make visualizations, make charts, pictures. If we need to use maps, we show maps, bar charts, pie charts, whatever is suitable for the type of data, and then we present it to the decision makers usually. So that's
So,
one thing that all of these data tools have in common.
so it's about like concising all
Yes,
the so many into a visually easy to understand kind of representation of the data, right?
yes, because predicting using a prediction model for data comes later, but you need to understand the data through the visualization to see what you already have, what you can use, and what you might need to gather in the future. Because for one of the, I would say, it wouldn't say it's not a philosophy, but it's something that data scientists advocate, which is more data means more accuracy. So if you
Mm,
have a lot of data, and we can create a much more accurate model in order to
mm,
do predictions. So if you have very little data, it's very difficult to do predictions, but we can do a sort of visualization, presentation of your data in order to see what can be done and how to improve.
yeah, so in a way, we somewhat know how data can be used for businesses,
Yes,
prediction. We can look at timeline, for example, like if your business is catering a lot on Christmas, then you see
yes,
data every year. Oh, Christmas time, I need to stock up on material, prepare everything.
yes,
So you reduce your waste and it become you manage your cost and everything in a smarter way. Um,
yes.
but I want to touch into data and sustainability. I see
Mhm.
your post, one of your posts talks about it. So can you elaborate more on your findings in terms of this?
Okay, I've been giving it a lot of thought lately on, especially because I one of the things that I notice is small businesses don't really utilize their data much, or maybe they're not aware of how to gather data. So the thought I had behind that post was, okay, if I were makcik jual nasi lemak tepi jalan, someone who sells nasi lemak at a small food stall beside the road, how can I start gathering data in order to maybe improve my business, or how do I get more sales, for example? So one one way, if that makcik doesn't have a computer, she can easily jot down what she has jot down in a notebook, what she has managed so far. Maybe she has a few locations across her city where she does her business. Maybe in one area, she notes down, okay, how many people are buying the things that she sells, nasi lemak, a certain kind of kueh, drinks, whatever that she's selling during that time. And maybe she can have an assistant beside her to take extra notes. Okay, for a certain time, how many customers are female? How many customers are male? Mm. And what time is the busiest? So she just takes that down. And afterwards, if she does have a computer or any kind of device, she can, input it in the Excel and store it for later. After maybe a period of time, 6 months, 3 to 6 months, then she can, present that data to someone who can analyze it and gather some insights for her business. Okay, where to improve, which is the peak season, what kind of items does her customers prefer, maybe certain locations. Certain customers prefer this in certain location, maybe not just location, but maybe a format of where she sells her food. A roadside stall is not the same as a pasar malam. So maybe she can make comparisons on how she can improve her sales for the road stall and also for the pasar malam, for example. So that's the thought I had when I made that post. So hopefully I can share more of my thoughts on how small businesses can make use of uh, data in order to improve. And as businesses scale up, they have more resources in order to gather data. They can afford better equipment, better software, and also if they are inclined, they can use services like Google Storage or Microsoft One, those kind of services in order for to store their data, especially for massive amounts of data, like factories um, and large corporations.
Hmm. So what about the sustainability part? How can data help with being sustainable?
Okay, it depends on what kind of sustainability that you're looking for. One of my projects that I did previously, we were approached by a big beverage manufacturer, and they would like to know, because a lot of the data they gathered for us was the energy consumption of each machines that they had in their factory and in their production line. So they want to know where and when they can adjust in order to reduce and optimize their energy consumption, and not just energy consumption but their human resources as well, because like if you have one operation manager, uh, is they cannot be all over the place. So which area of the factory they need to allocate for certain times, for example like festive period, right? They need to churn out more product in order to meet customer demand. So they might need more operation staff in order to, take care of the machines. But during a relaxed period, they might need less. So they optimize on their manpower, and also reduce energy consumptions when there is no need to use as much. So they just need to figure out when and how to predict for future operations.
So it's optimizing your resource, right? Using the
Yes.
data, you reduce your wastages, you
Mhm.
reduce your cost, your manpower. So by
Yes.
having data as a part, plays a part in your decision making, you get to be more efficient.
Yes.
So that's what I feel from the discussion is the way it should be looked into. Um,
Yes.
but of course, data is a big thing. There's a lot of data that's involved. If let's say a company that wants to start to use data or want to open up a data department, um, where can they? I mean, like how do companies start looking into using data?
Okay. In order to do that, they need to start establishing a data team, because if you just ask me one person in order to do everything, I don't have all the knowledge, and I also don't have all the resources in order to help them do, gather data and all that. But there are data specialists, because big data does not only involve analyzing part, but they also involve the gathering part, where is more that one is usually for data engineers and and also maybe certain parts as well. If let's say if you have an app where you want to gather data from your users, then you might need interactive experience and user experience expertise in order to um, make an app very interesting, and get how to get the customer to interact with the apps in order to get feedback and data from the apps, and how to funnel all that information into the storage database. For certain people, maybe they use different kind of storage services. Google, Microsoft, and Amazon uh, have those kind of services, the most popular ones. Uh, so it's all stored in the cloud, and that's where the data engineer comes in,
Mm.
where they need to, set up the networks, the interfaces, and how do the analysts interact with the data storage. Uh, so it's not a one person team. It's an entire team. If you want to get started.
So I think like companies have already gathering data. They have data in their Excel. They have data separate. Everything is separate, right?
Yes.
So in order for it to be more consolidated, we need to have a data team, like what you say. So they
Yes.
will help in terms of the gathering part, gathering and storing. Once you gather
Yes.
so much, you store at one place, and then you have the analyst or engineer to
Yes.
work out in terms of how to analyze it and the flow, and then you can have the more of the analytics out, right? So
Yes.
it requires different kind of expertise, and also
Yes.
each part doing different things. So it's quite like what you say, like it's not a one man thing, but I'm
Yes.
guessing we need to start somewhere, right?
Yes.
And I
Correct.
think like my final and last question is where where can we implement it in a business when we talk about data analytics?
Yeah.
Where you see, for example, let's do an example like a manufacturing company, right? So
Hmm.
which part of it might you see? Of course most of it will have, but you see, where would you see the important part in a business?
Well, for that, you have to ask the business itself. What is your what is your business goal with this data? Is it to make decisions for the future? Is it for improving your operations? Improving your operations can also mean many things. Is it on the manufacturing floor? Is it your human resources? Is it many other operational parts in the manufacturing process? So you have to ask them, you have to get the businesses themselves to know what is it they want with the data. They might already have the data, but maybe it's not for what their goals are.
Hmm.
So that's where we have to advise them. Okay, in order for that to happen, you need this. You need a team for data gathering and whatnot. If they don't have the data, but if they already have the data, we need to look at what they already have. And the best part is to start what you already have. Mm.
Yeah, so it
So
will depend on how the company wants to use the data. Then you decide on which part of this business need
yes,
to be
yeah, we need.
allocated.
Usually, it's just we consult them, we advise them how it might need to be done. If they and see if they already maybe if they already have the process in place, or maybe they might need to create a new process. We don't know. we have to see the nature of their business.
So it's case to case
Make it work
basis
for
lah.
us. Yes, because this is something new, so there's a lot of awareness that needs to, be done. And maybe their awareness, okay, they already aware, oh, data is important, but how how do they go about it? Uh,
So there's a lot of question that needs to be answered in terms
yes,
of going to this. So before we can get the
yeah,
answer, we need to know the question as well, right?
yes, because one of the methodologies that data scientists follow is the the first one. Always, you have to understand the business goals.
Mm,
So that's where we have to talk to the businesses what they want. It's not
mm,
right to impose, but even if we impose, is that the right decision for the business? That's why the business and the data people have to cooperate.
mm, mm. So yeah, so why I invite you to the show is a lot of companies when they want to do social entrepreneurship or they want to
Mhm.
do a business that have a cost, they would see that the cost is the one that is gonna make people come to them. But actually, it doesn't work like that. Maybe they will buy once, but then that's all. You need to make sure
Yes,
that your products are good, your service is good, and you operate like a competitive company. So I would say like normally if a traditional company would have to think about 10,000 things, social
mhm.
enterprise they need to think of 20,000 things. So
Of
you need
course.
to do what the traditional business is doing and some more. So that's why
Yes,
one of the key things that we need to be aware of the future technologies and data right now is such a big thing. So we need to have more conversation about it, especially since a new field, right? Um,
yes.
we have a question from Mafan.
Mhm.
Sustainability has to be factual to drive productivity up and cost down. How to improve performance and profitability when a business does not know where the time spent and which expenses goes where. Oh, this is more of a it's not it's a fact it's not a statement. So
Yeah.
I think that is what the gist of what we've been talking about. We need to look at
Yes.
the data and we make the most effective decision. So businesses needs to stay abreast with the latest technology, the latest tools. And right now, data, I'm seeing it is such a important thing that we ourselves at the Green Factory are looking to open up our data department. So I think we are at the end of the show now. For guests that want to know more about data or want to engage in Rusnajaa's service, you can contact her on LinkedIn. And what kind of service are you right now doing, Naja?
Uh, at the moment, I'm focusing more on the analytics part, and I also do visualization as well. So if you already have the data, I'll take a look at the data and I'll see what can be done with it. Then I'll make a visualization, a visual representation of your data in order to show you. Maybe to answer the question of the Mapan just right now, um, gather all what you already have and then show it to the data analyst because from there they can tell you where there's needs improvements, what might be missing, and then once they show you the visual representation, only then you will see where the gaps are and where you're doing right, where you're doing wrong. That's the only way we can help you because I'm just an outsider. I don't know anything about your business. So if you don't share information with me, how can I help you?
Mm,
Uh,
yeah. So yeah. So yeah, for you guys, do connect with Naja. Connect with her on LinkedIn. She's active there. And thank you very much, Naja, for your sharing. For everyone else, listeners and viewers, thank you very much for your time. See you next week. Have a green week ahead. Bye bye, guys.
Thank you, Haris. Thank you. Bye,